A seismic shift rattled the foundations of American work. We thought we saw the rebellion, but perhaps it was only the beginning. What if companies aren't just adapting, but fundamentally rewriting the very code of employment? Welcome to the Great Reset, a deep dive into one of the most profound shifts in the American workforce in modern history, the Great Resignation. From late 2020 through 2022, millions of American workers voluntarily left their jobs, not just for better pay, but for better lives. This wasn't merely an economic trend, it was a societal earthquake, reshaping the very fabric of the employer-employee relationship across the United States. Triggered by the immense pressures and introspection brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, Americans began to reevaluate their priorities. The daily grind, the lack of flexibility, the inadequate recognition, and the mental toll of demanding jobs suddenly seemed unbearable for many. Workers, once content to chase promotions and stability, now sought purpose, well-being, and a genuine work-life balance. This mass exodus caught countless American companies off guard, leaving them scrambling to understand why their most valuable asset, their people, were walking out the door. From Silicon Valley tech giants to Main Street small businesses, the challenge was universal. How do you retain talent when the rules of engagement have fundamentally changed? This documentary will explore how American companies grappled with this unprecedented wave of departures, their initial missteps, their ultimate adaptations, and the lasting legacy of a workforce that dared to ask for more.
In the early days of the Great Resignation, many American companies reacted with a mix of disbelief and traditional, often insufficient, strategies. Initial responses frequently focused on transactional fixes, offering higher wages, sign-on bonuses, or retention payouts. While these incentives provided temporary relief, they often failed to address the deeper issues that were driving employees away. Companies clinging to pre-pandemic norms insisted on a full return to us, ignoring the newfound appreciation for remote work and flexibility that employees had experienced. This rigid approach often backfired, accelerating departures as workers sought employers who valued their autonomy. Many corporate leaders struggled to diagnose the root causes, attributing resignations solely to a tight labor market or pandemic burnout, without fully acknowledging the role of toxic work cultures, lack of career development, poor management, or inadequate mental health support. The mindset was often one of weathering the storm, hoping that the tide would eventually turn and workers would simply return to the old ways. This period saw a significant disconnect between employer expectations and employee desires, leading to increased churn and a growing sense of frustration on both sides. The learning curve was steep, and the cost of misunderstanding the Great Resignation was paid in lost talent, productivity, and reputation.
As the Great Resignation persisted, forcing American companies to confront undeniable shifts in employee expectations, a new era of corporate strategy began to emerge. The initial reactive measures gave way to more proactive and holistic approaches. Forward-thinking companies started to listen. Flexibility, once a perk, became a standard expectation. Remote and hybrid work models were embraced, acknowledging that productivity wasn't tied to a physical office desk. Investment in employee well-being surged, with expanded mental health benefits, childcare support, and wellness programs becoming integral parts of compensation packages. Companies began to critically examine their internal cultures, focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, not just as buzzwords, but as fundamental pillars for creating an environment where all employees felt valued and respected. Skill development and career pathing also saw renewed emphasis, as businesses recognized that employees sought growth and purpose. Leaders were trained to be more empathetic, transparent, and supportive, fostering a sense of belonging and psychological safety. This shift wasn't easy. It required significant investment, cultural transformation, and a willingness to challenge long-held corporate dogmas. Yet for the companies that adapted, the rewards were clear: improved retention, higher engagement, and a more resilient workforce ready for future challenges. The Great Resignation was more than just a fleeting moment. It was a permanent inflection point, irrevocably reshaping the future of work for American companies. It catalyzed a fundamental rebalancing of power placing a greater emphasis on employee well-being, autonomy, and purpose. Companies can no longer afford to view their workforce as a disposable commodity. Instead, they must cultivate a partnership built on mutual respect and shared values. The lessons learned are profound. Adaptability, empathy, and a genuine commitment to employee growth are no longer optional, but essential for survival and success. The American workforce has spoken, articulating a clear demand for work that integrates seamlessly with life, offers meaning, and respects individual dignity. This documentary's journey has shown how companies, initially caught flat-footed, have been compelled to evolve, innovate, and ultimately transform. The era of quiet quitting and loud layoffs are ongoing manifestations of this new dynamic. The challenge now for American businesses is to sustain this transformation, to continue listening, adapting, and building workplaces that not only attract talent, but truly nurture it for the long term. The Great Resignation didn't end. It simply initiated a new chapter in the ongoing story of work in America, one where the human element takes center stage.
Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more amazing videos.